Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to revisit a video and debunk some predictions from the actual source regarding YieldMax and NAV erosion. But before I get into the video, please smash that like button so the algorithm gods know that I'm here, and hit subscribe if you're new so you know whenever I go live or I talk about finance news, stocks, and investing, or I publish a new video like the one you're watching. With that out of the way, guys, let's get into the video. So real fast, you guys probably found this channel because of this video right here. Big changes coming to YieldMax. Will NAV erosion finally end for high yield dividend investors? So we're going to revisit this. All right. This was my most viewed video. This was, quote unquote, my most viral video. It had 36,000 views and well over 300 comments. Okay. So in it, we basically discussed the quote unquote new strategies coming to YieldMax, which were swap agreements, direct equity exposure, and deep in the money call options. Okay. So these were three new strategies that were added to the prospectuses for a lot of the YieldMax funds. And basically the assumption was that these were going to improve the NAV, right? That these were going to improve, NAV decay. It was going to help with NAV erosion because you're going to have direct equity exposure. If we look at something like CHPY from YieldMax, CHPY, it lists that it actually holds the underlying stocks. So I surmised personally that this was going to be a net benefit. And then the swap agreements, looking at round hill, 1.2 cover call or 1.2x levered ETFs, I kind of surmised from that these would be a net benefit for these cover call funds. Okay. It just worked out that way in my mind. Because, both of these ETFs or both of these types of ETFs have been tracking their underliers very well. So I figured that if that is the case, then, ETFs like NVDY or maybe AMDY or maybe MSTY, this would be a net benefit for those types of cover call ETFs. But as we're about to listen, all right, first, shout out to Live Off Dividends and Options Now. I believe he goes by the nickname of The Coach. All right, or THB. Shout out to you. Appreciate the interview you did with JP. I found it really educational and really helpful. So if you don't know this channel, recommend you guys check out his stuff and check out this whole interview right here and the follow-up interview or the follow-up video that he has regarding all of this. Okay, so let's listen in and hear from the man himself, JP or Pestrichelli, who actually explains what these strategies are and how they will impact the NAV.
Off the bat, I wanted to clarify with you some things that have been a hot topic of discussion in regards to YieldMax funds. There's a lot of speculation that you guys might be doing some new things to stabilize the NAV. And I've seen talk that it's like people think they're noticing it in a lot of funds. And those three things are adding swap agreements for direct asset exposure, integrating deep in the money call options for stable premiums, and then allocating capital into actual equity holdings. So speak to that and let me know if that's being done, and if so, on which funds.
Yeah, okay, so we did make a few filing changes for MSTY that had to do with those three potential changes to the long equity exposure, right? Today we use the, hey Rod, how you doing? Today we use the synthetic to create our long exposure, but with potential challenges next year. This is a 2026 thing, so we're just getting ahead of it. With the potential challenges next year on contract limits, or like the number of the position limits that you're allowed to have in a fund like MSTY, which is the largest YieldMax fund.
So you guys heard that for yourself. The reason why YieldMax is adding these, quote unquote, new strategies to their prospectus is to get ahead of some changes coming next year with, caps on contracts that they're allowed to have. So this is where this is all coming from.
Fund, we just wanted to get ahead of it and give ourselves a few choices. I'm not even going to say options. Give ourselves a few choices on how we address potential limits. And so there's actually a few other ways that we'll do it. So when you add in the ability to hold stock or use swaps or use deep in the money calls instead of the synthetic, what happens is that just wasn't in the prospectus. And so we filed that. I think it was only for MSTY. Maybe it was NVDY, but those are, two of our biggest. We haven't actually implemented any of those tactics yet because
really
I needed it. Yeah, no, there's no.
So right there, you heard it from him. YieldMax has not implemented any of these new strategies yet on any of the cover call ETFs, MSTY being the most popular notable one. All right. So That was really a surprise. I think for a lot of people, and myself included, I think that was really a surprise because a lot of people have this, placebo effect or this mirage effect where we think we're seeing the NAV recover from these ETFs that have the new strategy implemented, right? But that is not the case. That is not the case at all. And he kind of explains that here in a second.
No swaps in MSTY. There's no long stock in MSTY. There's no deep in the money calls in MSTY, right? So none of that has actually been put to work. We just made a filing in case we wanted to make those changes, and we had a position limit challenge. So look, I love that people recognize that we made a change to the pro, but nothing has been changed yet. NAV stability. I like that you mentioned NAV stability. An up market sure helps NAV stability, right? Like
right there, you guys heard it. An up market helps NAV stability, right? So the placebo effect that we're having or the mirage that we're seeing is a direct, result of basically an up market or a bull market, right? Ever since Liberation Day, Liquidation Day back in April, and the 90-day pause, everything has just been recovering very fast. And, with that, we see these covered call ETFs, increasing in value. So we think that, the new strategies are helping it. But in fact, that is not true. And that is entirely false.
So that's what's doing it.
Hey, market going up. Hey, these are covered calls. They're bullish. Oh my gosh, I love it. Right? Like that's what's doing it. You got it exactly right.
So anyways, after this interview, I recommend you guys go in and view this video. Again, full of great information. JP actually dispels a lot of different, he gives a lot of good information on how you should utilize YieldMax funds because, everyone tries to be a genius at investing and come up with new strategies for playing YieldMax funds. But, more times than not, it's probably not a good idea. And, in this whole interview, Jay Pestrichelli pretty much kind of tells you how you should look at these products and how you should use these products. So again, highly recommend people check out this video if they haven't already. It is super, super insightful. All right, the next part was this, okay? This video basically is a follow-up to the first, to the interview, and then he's just answering some questions. So we'll listen in here.
When would you actually implement the new strategies defined in the prospectus for MSTY, and what would cause it? This is the big one, folks. This is like the holy grail of the questions here. The audience really likes the idea of minimizing NAV erosion. I threw that in there. There are no plans for it, and even if we did, this will not impact NAV decay. Interesting. These tactics have virtually zero impact on the fund performance and pricing. Why would anyone think this impacts NAV performance? Well, we'll have to follow up there because he had not only me, but like half of YouTube fooled on that one.
To Jay's credit, he didn't have half of YieldMax or half of YouTube fooled. I think we as YouTubers just believed what we wanted to believe. And it was based on, kind of what we see with other products out there. You have the Roundhill ETFs, they use swaps. There has been no NAV decay in their weekly pays. And then we have, even a YieldMax fund like CHPY, Chippy, which I actually own, full disclosure, it actually holds the underliers. It actually holds the underlying equities. And of course, SMH, which is a near peer, has been increasing in value. The semiconductors haven't been increasing in value. But in my mind, the way I look at it is when an ETF holds the underlier, that helps cushion it. Cushion it from, quote unquote, NAV erosion or NAV decay. It's good that ETFs hold the underliers, right? So again, going back to those three new strategies that were added to the prospectus: equity exposure, deep in the money call options, and swap agreements, I kind of surmised myself that this would be a net benefit for a lot of the cover call ETFs from YieldMax. But as Jay just kind of dispelled, that is not the case, and NAV decay will continue until morale improves. So, but all jokes aside, NAV decay is a direct result of high distributions, and Jay Pestrichelli explains this in detail in this interview and this follow-up, right? He explains it in great detail. I really recommend people check these videos out from this channel, Live Off Dividends and Options Now. Again, it was these were two really good videos, and I personally learned a lot, especially on how to utilize, YieldMax products and how to look at them. You know, for the crowd that, you know, quote unquote, goes all in on certain products, it's probably not the smartest idea. Even Jay himself says this. So again, it's worthwhile to listen to, you know, the actual vendor, the actual people who come up with these ETFs on how you should look at them and how you should play them. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Again, sorry guys. You know, we all want NAV erosion to be done with. We want some type of solution to this NAV erosion piece that affects or afflicts a lot of high yield income ETFs. But it looks like these new strategy changes that occurred are not going to really make a difference. So it is what it is. Again, I think it is my responsibility to at least update the audience with this, you know, in case you didn't know. So we're not, you know, believing in a mirage or believing in a placebo effect. So with that being said, guys, hope you got a lot of value from this. I look forward to your comments. Look forward to what your thoughts are. Are you still interested in YieldMax products or not? You know, or are you going to finally just, you know, move on to greener pastures? So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys have a wonderful day.